I said it earlier on in the summer that I think we should make the playoffs, and I think it really depends on how our young guys come through. Obviously, it's going to take them some time, but with Monte and George Hill, we're going to be speedier, and we'll have Paul playing all over the court. He'll play multiple positions, and we're going to try to get up down a little faster and make it more exciting.
What encourages you the most about all the different changes? Because there are so many unknowns.
Well, obviously, Paul coming back. I think that's the big thing. You like your best players playing, and he's back playing, and he looks pretty healthy to me. He says he feels great, but bringing in a lot of new guys, you never know. But I'm excited about our young players. I think that over time they're going to prove that they belong in the NBA.
Who has stood out the most in the offseason, you know, as these younger guys? Anybody jump off the paper?
Not really. You know, C.J. Miles was here every day, so I've seen him more than anyone. Shane was in and out. But we had a lot of guys there at the end. We had like 8 to 11 guys the last 3 weeks. And, you know, they play up and down, they scrimmage, but it gets out of control sometimes. So you really can't see much, but they look like they're in good shape and ready to go.
With David West's departure, is there a leadership board on this team?
Well, I don't worry about leadership. I mean, I've been around teams that nobody said much, didn't like each other. We did pretty well, so it's not a big deal.
You think that'll come with time?
Yeah, I think it will. You know, we have a lot of quiet guys on our team, and you know, the coach can lead in some ways, but you know, I'm sure Paul will step up and try to do more this year. But I'm not, you know, I think leadership's important at times, but I don't think you need it every day.
A lot to be determined in training camp, but Frank talked about, you know, the learning curve versus hitting the ground running right when the season starts. You know, without seeing how things play out in training camp, what do you foresee happening, you know, just to the very immediate start of the season?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, you never know. But I know training camp's wide open. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for a lot of different players to step up to the game, and you know, we let it play out. You know, we know George, Monte, and Paul are pretty steady there at the starting unit, but the rest of it's open. And we still have to fill out our bench, but there's a lot of capable guys to step up and get the job done.
There was a time where, you know, big men dominated the league, and it's obviously moved in a different direction. And the way you put together this roster kind of showed the sign of the times. How surprised are you with the way things have gone?
Well, I'm not surprised. I've seen it coming, but we didn't do it for that reason. We did it to try to maximize our team and who we can get in free agency. I think Cleveland had just as good a chance of winning the whole thing last year as Golden State if they stayed healthy. Health got them, and they're a big team. But for us, with Paul George being versatile as he is, and Monte, George Hill, and some of the guys we drafted, it just made me think that, hey, we can play a different style. And man, you know, I always wanted to score more points. I don't think we ever scored enough points here. We defend pretty well. Dan Burke's done an excellent job with our defense over the last 10 or 12 years. He'll head that up again, and he'll find a way to get stops in the defensive end. The offensive part of it's what I was concerned about, and hopefully this will help us.
How hard a transition will it be to going up tempo, you think?
Well, it'll be hard. I'm not talking about, you know, 15 points a game. I'm really talking anywhere from 5 to 8 more points a game. If we could average 102, 103, I'd be happy with that. It is a struggle at times. You know, guys have a tendency to run faster. They always say downhill on the offensive hill, and the defense is uphill. So if we can get them every day working and get their mindset that we're going to do this every day, or we'll find somebody else, they'll run.
It's a clear difference with the teams in the division too. With Chicago with a pretty strong front line, Detroit their front line, and then Milwaukee with Greg Monroe.
Yeah, you know, it seems like every team's got a solid force in the middle, but we're going to be versatile, and we're going to get up and down the court, and you know, we want to play a little bit faster. Obviously, we'll get something up on the defensive end, but hopefully not much, but that's fine. You know, I mean, we're going to have mismatches at night that don't favor us on the defensive end, but on the offensive end, we'll have the upper hand.
You talked about how much you wanted to score more and get the offense better involved, but with doing that, do you see the defense being somewhat of an issue or somewhat of a...
Well, I don't know about an issue, but I think it's going to, we're going to score more points. I don't think we're going to be probably a top 5 or top 10 defensive team, but we got to score points, and we got to find ways to get stops. I think with our quickness, our length, we'll get out and get more easy opportunities, get steals, get in the passing lane. You got to give up something to get something, but for us to play a slow brand of basketball, just pounding the paint, that don't work here anymore. It's time to move on.
You got Paul back, Monte added to the fold. How important is it for George Hill to maintain like what he did last year?
George is fine. He works out hard, and I think staying healthy is the key to our team this year. We're going to have a lot of speed out there, and we should run because that's to our advantage.
What are your impressions so far of Glenn Robinson? We haven't heard a lot about him, but from what you've seen the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's very impressive to me. I've been after him for a year, and we're taking a chance that we're going to develop him like we do all of our players, and he's built well, and he's strong, he's big. I think that his chances of making our team is very good. I think he's going to have a great career here. He's a hard worker, and this is something he wants, and through his work ethic, he'll become a very good basketball player.
With Paul playing the 4, is it a case by case thing?
Paul will be playing everywhere. When you say something to Paul, sometimes he just wants to hear what he wants to hear. He don't hear what you're trying to explain. But Paul is going to be playing everywhere but point guard. He's going to guard everybody. That's what he wants to do. He wants to bring his talents out, and by him playing different positions, that's going to show you how versatile he is.
How much value do you put in the projected standings before the season gets started? I think the Pacers are in 9th in the East. Is that something that pushes you to okay, you know what, people are underestimating us, or how do you perceive that?
It's all up to the players. I really have nothing to do with it and help put the team together. I think that players look at that and they sort of laugh about it, but we'll see what happens. You never know. There's been years where we've been ranked a lot higher than we probably should have, and a lot lower than we should have, but overall I think we'll do fine.
I saw that Hal Whistle came back and worked with Solomon Hill this year after Summer League.
Not really Solomon. He worked with Glenn Robinson. Solomon, I think, one day, or one half a day or whatever. Solomon wasn't here that much this summer. Glenn's been here ever since we got him. But Solomon, I think, worked maybe one morning with Hal, maybe one afternoon, I don't know. That's normal. But he was here for everybody, but the one that uses him the most was Lance at the time, and Glenn.
Do you view this as a critical year for Solomon?
I think it's a critical year for a lot of guys. We feel like he got the most minutes last year, and he had a lot this summer to work on, and we'll see how it pans out in the practices.
How exciting was it to see a player like the versatility of Jordan Hill, and then convincing him that this new look Pacers was the right fit for him?
Well, he likes it because he likes he's a good runner. He gets up and down. He likes to hang around the basket. I think overall, we have some bigs that are capable, but we're going to try to get up and down, and if they don't run, they're not going to get the ball. And big guys like to touch the basketball.
You transitioned in your career to the 4, or playing more the 4. How much of that experience have you tried to explain to Paul how it might benefit him?
Not really, not much at all. We've touched on it a few times. I just told him that I enjoyed it more than I ever thought I would. Playing the 4 is, just as long as you're out there playing. That's what I thought when they put me at the 4. I said, I don't care where I play, just as long as I'm on the court. And yeah, you got to play. I was lucky. McHale guarded Dominic Wilkins. He guarded all the tough guys, and then I got to run around and try to steal the ball. Paul's a different player than I am. We need him out on the perimeter to guard. So I enjoyed it, but when I first came to the league, I got to play a little bit at the 4, but not much. But as the years went on, I played more and more. I enjoyed it, but I don't know. Paul wants to be a player that guards all the best players and runs the perimeter, and he'll do that.
How much, if any, do you pay attention to what some of the other teams in the East are doing?
I know Milwaukee picked up Monroe. I know Chicago always watched because I like a lot of the stuff that they do. Especially last year was Gasol and different things. Cleveland, I really don't. They're going to spend all the money. I know that, but I really don't follow it that closely. We do what we do here because we try to build a team that's really a team. That's my goal every year, is try to get the best group of guys and the best talent in here, and it makes it look so much easier for everyone. And excited this year because Paul's coming back and Monte's here and Budinger and CJ worked hard this summer. George Hill worked hard, and we got a lot of young guys, so it's going to be an interesting year.
Larry, last year, I don't put words in your mouth. Last year, you kind of, it's like your line in the sand was, we can be a playoff team. That's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Is there anything realistic this year? A line in the sand? I
don't know about the line in the sand, but I want to be a playoff team. You know, I mean, that's what we strive for, and the higher seed, the better it is. I just think that we have enough talent here. If we stay pretty healthy, we're going to be a playoff team. That's what I think. Some people don't think that, but I do. And I just hope that we can come together as a group and play a brand of basketball our fans like and win basketball games.
The higher the seed, the better. Paul was very confident saying the ceiling is top 3. Realistically, do you see that?
I don't really get into that. Like I said earlier, my goal is to get into playoffs, and you never know. You might get off a slow start, a quick start. You might win a lot of games, then at the end you might falter. So my goal is just really to get these guys playing at a high level, and by All-Star break, having our young guys, at least 20–25% better than what they are now, just through experience. I think they're capable of that, and that helps in the long run. I know history shows if you play your young guys early and you have winning basketball games, they develop a lot quicker. So I like to use that as a stepping stone for our players and get them out there, and if they're capable of playing, if they're good enough, they should play. If not, they should go on the bench.
Larry, we always hear that defense wins championships.
Yeah,
and this team had been built around defense, you know, when it went to the conference
Well, you got to score
finals.
more than 94 points a game, too.
Yeah, I was going to ask, I mean, I know Frank still wants to emphasize defense, but do you think the way the league is going that it's not as important as it used to be?
No, it's important. It's always important. Like I said earlier, Dan Burke's done an excellent job here for the last 12, 14 years, maybe longer than that, with the defensive end of the basketball court. He's not going to change. He's going to do maybe change some things, but he's going to continue to stay on the players about guarding people. We feel we got to score more points. We've always been around 25, 26, 24 in the league in scoring, and if you can't get in the top 15, you're not going to win a lot of games. So obviously you like to stop people on one end and score on the other end, and I think we got the combination, hopefully, to be able to do a better job at that.
When I think back to the championship teams you played on, or those Laker teams, I guess they were probably known more for offense than defense.
Right, but you had to get a stop here and there, especially when you really needed it.
From the amount you watched these last couple of weeks when guys came in, anybody jump out at you?
Not really. They've been pretty consistent. One day it might be Paul, the next day Budinger had a heck of a run here, but it's the games where, some guys call fouls when not fouled, some guys don't call them when they are fouled, so it's not really basketball. But as far as, Budinger's looked really good, CJ Miles, they all have looked pretty good. I think Glenn Robinson's looked very well. I think he's done a good job. Played against Paul about every day. So tomorrow's a real test. I'll know more as we go along, but there's some guys that can play, and I just hope that they can put it together and have the type of team that they want to have.
Do you feel like it's one of the deeper rosters you've put together?
Well, it's deep in a sense that they're pretty good players, but they're so young. We got 5 of them that are really young. But as far as our starters and our other veterans, yeah, they're pretty deep. But like I say, we like to develop our young guys, and I wish we was a year ahead right now, because I think a couple of them guys, at least a couple of them, are going to be a lot better next year than they are this year.
It might have been a slip of the tongue, but Joe Young said he called you Coach Bird when he was talking about those off-season workouts and you watching them. How often do you speak up when they're out there?
Not a lot. Like Glenn, I know when I got something to talk to him about, I'll pull him to the side. I don't like to go in there and watch the guys yell at each other and scream and not get up and down the court. So every once in a while I'll pull them in together and say, hey, come on, this is not what we're here for. But I don't talk to the players every day about their games. But I will tell Joe, he's got a habit of getting hung up on picks at times, and he's quicker than that. He's light and he's thin, but if he's going to play in this league, he's got to learn to get over the picks a little bit better, see him coming, and he will.
Early, is he a rotational guy?
I don't know. That's Frank's. That's up to Frank. Would you ask a question like that? Not a rookie. I think Miles is going to be a very, very good basketball player, but I don't know. He's going to get knocked around a little bit. And, I mean, Paul's worried about getting knocked around a little bit. This kid's going to get knocked around a little bit. But he's skilled. He's got a lot of talent. So it's going to be interesting to see how he develops, because we need him. We need him to play well right away. Not that we're going to throw him in there for 30 minutes, but I think that he's got the ability to play minutes this year, and we'll see how good he is by All-Star break.
Do you want him down on the block, or is it okay for him to
float out? It's okay, as long as he ain't staying on that three-point line all the time. He's probably our best shooter on the team. He's a dead-eye shooter. He's big. He's got. I got high expectations for the young man. But he can post up. He can step out. He can defend around the basket. And we'll see how his motor is as we get going. You know, in college, when he got tired, they had to bring him out. I see a little bit of that. So we'll see what kind of what this training camp does for him.
Larry, is there a particular thing that you want to see in these preseason games about the new structure of the offense?
Well, just seems like if every game we get a little bit better. I don't want them flying up and down. I want a structure, but I also want our guys, especially Paul, Monte, and George Hill, get out on the break, and if they got it, you go all the way. You know, we ain't waiting around for the biggest get down there. And just the conditioning, see the conditioning. And then once the season starts, we'll see what happens. But I think it's going to be an enjoyable year if we stay healthy and if the guys come together. You know, I always talk about the young guys because they're a big part of this, but they're not all everything. You know, and we still have plenty of veterans to get the job done.
Larry, you say something crazy like Miles Turner's the best shooter on the team. I'm going to make a mess of that, so you got to clarify for that.
That's fine, but just get your facts straight. Don't be 50-50 now.
I'm going for 75-25 on a good day.
This guy, comedy hour with you.
Well, you know, the guys there'll be some guys say, yeah, well, he's not the best, but I am. But not I.
Right. But you mean a three-point arc, he's better than all of them, or you just mean whatever his range is? When he's in his range, he's better at his range than other guys are?
He's better than a lot of them in three-point. Okay. I ain't saying, you know, he's as good as anyone. Well, let's just put it this way. I think he's the best shooter, but he's as good as anyone we got.
Okay.
And he's 7 foot. He's excellent shooter.
By the way, both you and Vogel have been on the record saying these young guys are going to get a lot of time. So maybe
I don't know
the better
about a lot
question.
of time. I think we got to develop them. I don't know what a lot of time is, but I think that you know it will play out as we go along, and I think they're good enough to play. I think some of them are good enough to play. Now they got to show that, and when you get in the games and you get running up and down, and the speed of the game's faster, how will they handle that? I think they'll handle it fine, but I don't know how much time's a lot of time, but I always say a lot of time, but it could be 10 minutes, but that's more than a lot of rookies get, you know. I just want to develop these kids because I think they're good, and I think in a couple of years they're going to be real good. So let's get them out there and see what they can do.